Halfway through today, the bones start hurting. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful life when the bones stop hurting. Oh man. This is why there must be seasons in the year. This is why there must be sickness in your life, because that's the only way you appreciate anything. If it was summer year round, you wouldn't appreciate summer. Winter comes around, you freeze your butt a little bit, and then when summer comes, you really appreciate summer. And then same with autumn and spring. Everything there's contrast, and you appreciate the differences. When you're sick, it feels terrible. When you're healthy, it feels amazing because you've just been through some sickness. Still got a headache, still blocked nose and sore throat, all the rest of it. Chest is kind of full as well, but the bones have stopped hurting. So I feel like I've come over the hill now, and it's going to get better. So in that same frame of mind, this is why there needs to be high rep periods in your training, low rep periods of training. There needs to be bodybuilding, there needs to be weakness training. You can't just do singles. You don't appreciate the singles at all if you just do singles all the time. It's kind of like that, we always talk about this, change is as good as a rest. Everything's cyclical. We are hormonal. Men are 24-hour cycles, whatever if that's even true or not. We know women are monthly. There's a 7-year cycle for Mother Nature. There's also a 12-month cycle. There's all these cycles. And everything is fighting for balance, and everything is, going through changes. You cannot have something the same all the time. And so if you're thinking about your training program, no, you can't do that setup forever. It just won't work. Nature will not allow it. You can't have that tree just grow 100 million melons, every freaking year. There needs to be a period where it does nothing. It's winter and it's not doing anything. It's resting. And then, during spring and things happen and bees around and blah, blah, all that stuff. There's cycles, and you need to allow those cycles. And for some reason, for a large part of this journey, I didn't allow those cycles to take place. Or they're called the periodization. You can have periodization and autoregulation at the same time. This is something that in my mind was opposites in my mind. I was kind of, no, I'll just autoregulate year round. You can do that, but there needs to be like a larger scheme of events that happen that underline all of that. At the start of the year, I just did a whole bunch of high reps. And you might think to yourself, that's a waste of time, but that provided a really good platform for what I just did in the last two months. And these last 2 months took everything out of me, but you can't just go back to that. There needs to be a growth. There needs to be, the same with what I said before about training your weaknesses. You can't train your weaknesses effectively while also expecting to hit 1 rep maxes. No, those two things can't happen. Either you're building or you're displaying. It's one or the other. You can kind of merge them together somehow. For a little while, it can click for a while, but then eventually you will need to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, I know what the weakness is, what the rate limiting step is. I need to address that in order for me to display this in a couple of weeks' time or a couple of months' time. And same with sickness. The sickness has a role. These colds, flus that we go through, they have a role. I feel so happy right now that my bones don't hurt. Even though I'm not feeling 100%, I just feel happy that tomorrow I know it's going to be even better. Maybe the headache's going to be less tomorrow, And so you appreciate health when you lose it. And some people lose it for a long time, but where the blessed ones lose it for a little bit, colds and flus, and you kind of really appreciate what you have. And then if you work in my line of work where you see people fighting huge health battles, even though I'm not experiencing them myself, I'm, part of their journey in the healthcare system. That's always on my mind. Always on my mind what other people are fighting. And that's why, I live my life the way I live my life, and I make decisions because I experience some of these things. Health is everything, man. Health is everything. And so for people that are considering jeopardizing their health for a few numbers on a sheet for your squat or deadlift, that to me never makes sense, because I've seen too much, man. I've seen way too much to understand, to not understand what health is. Health is, and some of these guys that are taking it for granted, they have no idea. And they don't have idea for a good reason, because they're not in working healthcare. They're not really understanding how fragile we all are. And you taking, conscious decisions, active decisions to worsen your health, oh my God. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.